Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hope everyone is well rested
Evening.
after a long day. Okay, so today's session is on environmental stewardship and sustainability. When we say environment, why we want to preserve the environment? Why would IFMA consider a topic such as this one? Can you please tell me? Does anyone have a clue? No one?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Why consider the environment in our operations?
That's a very important thing to sustain our environment. Because if we need to live, in the earth for a long time, we have to keep the things,
True. That's
And-
right. That's right. So we're talking about the longevity of the human race. That's why we need to take care of the environment. This is right. Why would, if it's that important, why wouldn't many people implement sustainability and environmental? Why don't every company on earth adopt this?
Because it's related to company culture or to the staff culture.
Yeah, okay, fine. I understand it's the culture, but what's the main hindrance?
Maybe there is no direct revenue incomes by adopting this perspective.
Yes, the main thing why people don't, for example, adopt renewable energy everywhere is the financial factor. And while people have, there's always the polarizing view, which we see them that, okay, we need to take care of the environment, but at the end of the day, at what expense? Some countries are more advanced than others in the way they look at very good control, and they believe that economic prosperity should not be on the cost of the environment. Americans don't share that view. Chinese don't share that view. So that's why am I using this? Because we will see how IFMA has a very practical approach towards sustainability, where all of these factors are taken into consideration. So let's start by, first of all, identifying what is sustainability. So sustainability is defined as meeting the needs of the current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet its own needs. So sustainability stems from the fact that, okay, if we continue damaging the environment at the rate that we were doing, maybe now it's a little bit better, there's a little bit more awareness, but if we continue doing that, we're not, our succeeders, the next generations will not have much to have in terms of resources or in terms of health, things like that. Some cities such as Beijing or even Delhi, so horrific that you cannot even go outside without wearing a mask. The pollution levels are very high. COVID-19 has managed to reduce some of it, but during normal operations, it has become, many cities have become even uninhabitable as it is now. Forget about a few years down the line. So sustainability means that we manage both. We meet the needs of the current generation, but without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable practices are energy efficient, water efficient. So basically, sustainability revolves around two main things, and they are the energy and the water. there are other aspects of it, of course, like the reuse of material and things like that. But these two factors are very important because lots of the carbon footprint comes from producing energy, comes from generating water. Water is a limited resource on Earth. You know that all the water on Earth doesn't increase or decrease. So it goes through the cycle of evaporating, raining, and so on. So it's a continuous cycle. So it's a very limited resource. So sustainable practices are energy efficient, water efficient, provide better living conditions and a better indoor environment, use of sustainable or environmental friendly material. Again, one important aspect is the utilization of material. Am I using material that can be recycled? Am I using consumables? For example, Europe, I think Germany a few days ago have put a total ban on disposable items. Disposable food catering, you will not get any disposable item anymore. So they are encouraging people to reuse, like we used to do 20 or 30 years ago. And you used to get the can of Pepsi in a bottle, and which you drink it and you return it back. Then consumerism came and became so extreme. It's definitely more efficient that you don't know and reuse it. It's more convenient, but at what cost? The level of trash, the amount of trash that the human beings are producing are higher than ever. Another sustainable practice is the lesser transportation requirements. Transportation and, for example, aviation is one of the biggest polluters in the world, because the problem with aviation is that, first of all, they burn a lot of fuel to travel from one country to the other. Second, it's not localized and it's not treated like a power plant. It'll be, you can put some measures to treat it, but an car or an airplane is polluting all over the world. Restore and protect habitat. So the natural habitat, the environment which is around us. Sure, all of you have looked at documentaries which show how much the greenery and the natural habitat of animals have recessed all over the years. They say that the most dangerous animal on this planet is us, the human beings, because we came and we superimposed on all other animals. We took their natural habitat, and in many areas we are paying for that price. It doesn't come for free. Now the temperatures on Earth are higher than they were ever before. We are having floods in some parts of the world, and we're having tsunamis and lots of environmental change due to the human impact. So why shall we adopt sustainable facility management? It adds business advantage. So again, IFMA has a very practical approach. Okay, they understand this, and we will see how they also, but they also understand that if something is not making economic sense, companies won't adopt it, no matter how noble it is. Because in the end, companies seek to generate profits. And we will see how later on they're considering something which is called the triple bottom line. Triple bottom line, we will look into the definition of it. What does it mean? And which it means is balancing the environment, balancing the economic aspect of it, and balancing the human needs. So the three, this we call the triple bottom line. So it's a very practical approach. It's an approach which I really appreciate as well, because it's pragmatic. So sustainable facility management, first of all, adds business advantage through increased company branding and image because of sustainable acts. Now with the new generation, and even with the older generation, they are much more conscious towards the environment. And they like to buy products which mention that, okay, this is made from recycled material and so on. You find like, how do I say, popular products such as Starbucks. They advertise this everywhere. If you go and look at their cup, they'll say this is made from recycled paper and so on. And Google, for example, they were advertising how most of their facilities, if I am not sure, all of their facilities now are 100% renewable energy. So it definitely has a big business advantage through company branding and image. When you are sustainable, you are looking at your consumption. When you're looking at your consumption, you are trying to reduce your energy consumption. You're trying to use the consumption of paper that you use at the office. You're trying to use reduce all the consumption of items that you need, definitely you're going to be saving money. So this is avoid or minimize the resource consumption, especially of finite raw materials. Avoid hefty fines and legal consequences because of unsustainable practices. Many countries, and increasingly happening all over the world, things that were acceptable years back are not acceptable anymore. In Qatar, for example, if you want to dispose, you cannot do sand blasting in the middle of the industrial area because it's considered an unenvironmental friendly. You have to do it in a proper environment, controlled environment. You cannot dispose trash, construction trash in the regular bins. You have to dispose it properly. You cannot dispose oils. When you change the oil of equipment and cars, you have to dispose it in proper facilities. So when you are taking this into consideration, you are securing the legal compliance and requirements, and there are fines for it. Example, in Qatar, if they go to your workshop and I found out that you're not disposing of the oil in a proper manner, you will get a very severe fine. Maximizes governmental incentives and benefits through sustainability. Many countries provide incentives for sustainable practices, and these can include different things. So some countries even will support you if you want to purchase, let's say, solar panels. They will provide a loan, or they will provide it at subsidized rates, so you'll get it cheaper. Others in Europe put very hefty fines on or high polluting items. So there are many incentives depending on the country and benefits that you can get for adopting sustainability. You reduce operational and maintenance costs. This is what we said when we're reducing, when we're looking at consumption, when we're being cost conscious on resources. Again, we'll reduce costs. Improve the well-being of employees and building occupants. When you are looking at sustainable practice, you're looking at the environment, and the environment, you're looking at pollution. When you're looking at pollution, definitely that the well-being of employees and building occupants are going to rise. And as we will see later on, this will also have an effect on productivity, and you'll have lesser insurance premiums. You're avoiding legal issues, and so on. And many work conditions are not safe for people, whereas if you are adopting these sustainable practices, these are part of your agenda and you will be looking into them. So the 4 rules of sustainability, there are 4 R's, and they are calling reduce, reuse, recycle, or recover. Or they are another 4 R's, or refuse, reduce, reuse, or recycle. So first is you refuse. What does it mean, refuse or refuse? Maybe I don't need it altogether. I want to install something. Maybe I don't need it altogether. And if I want to, let's say I want to drink water, maybe I don't need a paper. I'm just going to give a simple example. I don't need a cup. Maybe I can go and drink directly from the faucet. Okay, not possible. Then I try to reduce. What does it mean, reduce? It means I reduce my requirement for that item. Or I reuse. I reuse something that was there before. Or I recycle. So the least of these is recycle. And it happens, recycling is not the highest one. Maybe some of you will think that recycling is the best practice. No. When you reach recycling, it means that you've already covered the other areas. You couldn't refuse it, you couldn't reduce it beyond a certain limit, and you couldn't reuse another item. So you reach the recycling. So again, the same things are happening, are repeated again. Why it's better to integrate sustainable practices in FM, better brand recognition, better financial performance when we're reducing costs, cost savings through high performance and efficient operations. A key concept that gets repeated again by IFMA over and over again, and this is those of you who are aware of quality practices. In order for you to improve on something, you need to start measuring it. When you start measuring something, okay, you start being aware of it. When you start being aware of it, you start being careful on what you use and what you're not use. So that's why you really begin to save. We do it on a personal level. I don't know if any of you have done calorie counting. When you start doing calorie counting, you will be very conscious about what you eat. Similarly, for organization, usually one of the things that they measure is the money. They measure how much they are spending on this item and so on, the financial aspect. So similarly, if you are measuring your energy consumption, for example, and seeing how much it is, there is lots of hidden savings in energy consumption, which you can reduce considerably once you start measuring, okay? And then another benefit will be the easier access to capital through the attraction of more investors, increase customer loyalty. We talked about customer loyalty and sales. We talked about all these organizations that show the younger generation that they're caring for the environment. They go and say, okay, all of this material made from recycled. Even they say sustainability doesn't only mean reduction and using recycled products. Sustainability means also it can happen to the environment around us. So they say like this is made purely from the local community. So it's a sustainable practice. It means the organization is taking a practice in which it's incorporating the society around it. This is sustainable practice. Organizational growth, positive reputation, retaining staff, and a greater ability to attract talent. There are 8 areas of sustainability. I already mentioned the 2 important one, energy, water, okay, and they are hiding. Materials and resources. So we talked about materials and resources. So for example, if I'm using disposable rags to clean the equipment, if I go and use cloth rags, it's something. If I go and use cloth rags, which I'm reusing them, like there is some packaging which is coming on equipment and I'm reusing it. This is another example. Workplace management. We will look on how the workplace management, the process itself, how it can be changed to incorporate sustainability. Indoor environmental quality. The indoor environment, it's a very important aspect, which is not really looked much into in here, unfortunately. So the environment quality. The quality of the air and lighting inside a facility. Actually, the quality of air inside a facility is much worse, and we see that in detail, than the quality of air outside, because there is no fresh air coming in as it should be. Quality of services, the waste, and the site impact. So these 8 areas we're going to be looking at one by one. I talked about the triple bottom line. So as I said, IFMA, or the sustainability, has a view of, for you to have a sustainable practice, you need to have the people, the planet, and the profitability taken care of. When these 3 meet, you have a sustainable practice. What does that mean? It means, let's say, if I want to adopt let's say I want to adopt and utilize solar panels to power something, okay? People, if I'm using people, how do you mean to take care of this? So if I'm using a solar panel to power something, will the convenience of people be affected? No, because they're gonna be, if the people who are utilizing this facility, they're gonna still have access to power. Maybe it'll not be as reliable, and this is a question mark, but let's assume it's not. Okay. The planet, of course, the planet will be profit, but will it include the profitability? If it's not profitable and it doesn't make commercial sense, so it will fall under an area where, let's say, the people, the planet meet, it will be bearable. It's not sustainable. A situation which is sustainable is in which the people comfort is not compromised, the planet is being taken care of, the environment is being taken care of, and there is financial profit for the organization. So another example to make it easier for you. For example, if I am having a building of offices, if I shut down the AC, okay, I'm gonna be improving the profit. Or let's say the AC is supposed to be set at 24 degrees. I set it for the whole building at 27, okay? I'm reducing the energy bill. So I'm saving the planet. I am reducing the energy bill, the finance team is going to be happy because I'm improving the profitability. But is the convenience of the people compromised? Yes, it is. So then it's not a sustainability practice. It's a viable practice. So again, this graph, which is here, in which the different things that are measured, is one of the few things that you have to memorize, more or less, that only when you have these three combined, you get sustainable. When you have people and planet taken care of, this is bearable. When you have people and profit taken care of, this is equitable. When you have planet and profit taken care of, this is viable. Only when all the three meet, it's a sustainable practice. So this is what's called the triple bottom line, and this is what the philosophy of sustainability is based upon. So the three P's are like the profit. We're taking care about the high earning potential, positive cash flow, healthy profit margins, sustainable business model. The planet, it can include items such as lower carbon footprint, lower emissions, decrease in pollution, and so on. The people, as we said, is that takes care of the people needs. So you are managing customer expectations. So for example, in hotels, they try to adopt it, but they leave this choice to you. In a hotel, they go and tell you, if you don't want to clean the towels, or if you don't want us to change the sheet, they don't force you to do that, but they leave the decision for you. So you can still, if you are a person who really likes to have his sheets changed every day, they are taking care of you. They're telling you it's up to your expectations. And at the same time, when they are not changing the sheets on a daily basis, they are improving their bottom line with the profit, and they are taking care of the planet. But sometimes not the people. So they're leaving the choice with you. But if you are approving, then they are having a sustainable practice. Sustainability policies. So same like you have a quality policy or an environment policy or a health and safety policy. You see those usually at the entrance of companies. Usually they're not there for decoration. A policy is just something like the organization is committed to. So similar to those, there is a sustainability policy. So a sustainability policy is a statement outlining the company's strategy and commitment. So how they look at the things and how committed they are towards all area of sustainability, namely the TBL, which is the triple bottom line. Okay. So examples of policy, same way like they say, okay, in the quality policy, our aim is to secure the quality of the processes, what we ever do and whatever. So examples can include reuse waste paper whenever possible, use of instant messaging and video conferencing to avoid unnecessary travel, purchase recycled paper whenever possible, such as tissue paper and bond paper. So this is in a nutshell the definition of sustainability. Now we're looking into the details of it. Aligning organizational strategy with sustainability. Again, the concept, I mentioned it before and I'm mentioning it again. IFMA considers that whatever you want to do, you have to align it with the organizational strategy. So they are saying for you to have a successful sustainability practice, it should be in line with the organization. Some of the tools that can be utilized to secure sustainability is like a green lease policy. What's a green lease? Green lease is a lease of a commercial or public building, which incorporates an agreement between a landlord and a tenant as to how a building is to be occupied, operated, and managed in a sustainable way. The aim of green or sustainable lease policy is to ensure that both the property owner and tenant perform an efficient building operation, which in turn mutually benefits both parties. In this part of the world, still we are having the sustainability concept growing, and still the energy, because we're living in energy-rich countries, it's not really looked into. Whereas if you go to Europe or even the States, you find that these are important from a financial and operational perspective. For example, we will see that how in the UK, if you want to rent a building or to buy a building, okay, it should have a energy efficiency certificate, so that you know how efficient is that building that you are purchasing. So they are consciously telling you, let's say you are a company which wants to rent a property on so and so street. You have property A and property B. Let's say everything else is equal, but property A is more energy efficient than property B. Then naturally, you as a tenant will go for property A, everything else considered equal, let's say. You will go for property A because if it's an energy efficient building, you're gonna be reducing your operational costs. So a green lease policy, as the definition says, it's a type of lease in which the tenant and the landlord are agreeing to utilize the building in such a way to reduce the environmental impact. It can be part of your sustainability as a landlord or part of a sustainability as a tenant. Sustainability has soft and hard benefits. Again, we always see that the concepts are being reiterated. Soft benefits: increased brand strength, improved employee morale. As we said, like with the safety and the contingency, when employees feel that their organization is proactive, the organization is taking care of them, of the indoor air quality, is taking care of their seating position, is taking care how much sunlight they take per day, because this is also part of the sustainability. Their morale is going to be higher. Improve employee building health, productivity, and comfort. Protect the environment and reduce pollution. So these are soft benefits. They are intangible. Hard, tangible benefits: cost reduction through the reduced use of resources, cost reduction by saving on telecommuting, hoteling, cost reduction by effective and efficient operations, income generation by selling electricity back to the grid, reselling material, etc. So it can be a source of revenue for you. An example of sustainability, depending on the country, it's still not available here, but many countries such as Lebanon or even other places in Europe, you have two-way metering. So if you install the government, because they want to encourage the utilization of renewable energy, what they do is that they allow you to install a two-way meter. What do you do is that when you install a two-way meter, let's say you are having a solar panel which generates 1 megawatt. Let's say your consumption is 1 megawatt, but on some days it's 500 kilowatts. So if it's half of that, you can sell the remaining balance back to the grid. So it's an in and out. So you can generate money out of that. The benefits of aligning the FM plan with the overall organizational strategy: whenever you want to do a plan as an FM, if it's aligned with the overall organizational strategy, it's going to take the management support and blessing. This we will see it happening, whether it's for sustainability, whether it's for health and safety, whether it's for operations or strategy. There's a separate module on strategy. The strategy starts with something on the top and gets affected into the day-to-day operations. Examples, as I mentioned last time, I mentioned that there are two major real estate companies here, which I use as an example. One is Asdan, which is focusing on a strategy of having affordable accommodation. Another one is Al-Asmakh, or let's say Al-Fardan, which is focusing on luxury accommodation. Their strategy is different. Their approach is different. And that reflects into everything they utilize, starting from what brand of ACs they utilize in their building. One company is trying to maintain a low cost. Another company is trying to maintain a luxury. So even the design of the compound, this company is making it with less amenities. The other company, because they want to reduce the cost to everyone, the other company is focusing on better amenities and charging a price for it. So similarly, if let's say you are a facility manager working in either of those companies, you have to make sure that whatever you're doing is in line with the organizational strategy. So if you're working for ASDAN, for example, and you come and suggest to your company something that's tending towards the luxurious side of things, it's likely going to be rejected. Whereas if you're coming, let's say, with an initiative that save money, or for other company, if you're coming with an initiative that will add to the brand of luxury or the image that they're trying to, it will be management support. So benefits of aligning the FM plan with this overall organizational strategy is that you get management support, so satisfies the requirement of the entire organization, and you obtain wide resources. So if you are doing something that's in line, what's meant by building efficiency, can you give examples? We will come to that, Ahmed. We will come to that. Building efficiency, it means that how efficient the systems that you are using in the building. An example, it starts with the lighting, a simple thing with the lighting. An office space, say you have 1,000 office square meters in company A and 1,000 square meters in company B. Company A is utilizing LED lighting, is utilizing sensors in the toilets and bathrooms that will off when there is no electricity, is utilizing a building management system which is linked to the lighting, and which, depending on the ambient lighting outside, will dim the lights or increase them. Whereas company B is utilizing halogen lights, regular lights. The energy efficiency of office space A is much more efficient than of office space B. So this is what we talk about, the building efficiency. That's why there are building efficiency ratings such as LEED. We will be covering those in details as we move along. So if the organization is in its infancy stage towards sustainability, the FM should act as an insurgent or initiate an effort even without formal sponsorship or authorization. Again, this is another thing I like about IFMA, is that they say it doesn't need, you don't start big. There are many, many practices that you can start implementing, which really are within your control. So in some organizations I worked in, the team in the office, for example, started looking at the reduction of the consumption of reusable water bottles. We were using disposable water bottles. Many organizations here came up with this, like QP or EDO or so on. So they start looking at these simple things. They were encouraging people to reutilize recycled paper. They were encouraging everyone to bring his own mug rather than using disposable mugs, use your own spoon, and so on. So these things save money, but also you will be doing your own fight in this environmental battle and your contribution. So they say that even if you don't have a big budget, you can create internal group discussions, initiate low cost or no cost projects. Simple projects. For example, if you look at the Lulu hypermarket or the Carrefour, they have outside a bin in which they put all the paper, the card box for them to recycle. So this is a no-cost thing. It practically costs them money. They go throw it there, and actually they can generate money from it because they can sell it to companies to come and take it as recycled paper. So they are saving resources, they are getting some money out of it, and they are adopting a sustainable practice. If possible, involve external parties or industry experts. Of course, this subject has become so much elaborate that there are industry experts. Internally share success stories. Verify who can mostly contribute to the sustainability effort. So these are like certain guidelines which you can utilize. To get greater support from stakeholders, sustainability should not showcase the benefits alone. Again, this is an important point. It should be presented in a way showing that not embracing sustainability will have negative effects on the organization. I'm working in the field, and I find that a lot of the awareness of companies on how much they pay unnecessary bills that can be avoided. People don't know that. And for bigger organizations, this can be a huge impact. If you're talking, for example, a hospital, their annual power and electricity bill is going to be in millions. So as an FM, you have to showcase that if you are not really looking at the operation of your equipment, if you're not looking at how much power each unit is consuming, how much water you are consuming, is it within the design limits? Am I paying more? If I'm not doing continuous commissioning and checking the efficiency, it's not like that I am, okay, I will get benefits. No, if you don't do it, you will be incurring losses. That's how it is. That's how companies which are efficient, they do that not only to showcase that they are nice to the environment. They do it because there are serious hard benefits related to that. Sometimes the initial investment might be high, yes, but at many times, no. There are many cases I've seen in which, for example, water pumps, if you replace them, sometimes like it'll be 7-8 years and it's not properly maintained, people will think you go and tell the owner, come and put $500,000 and we will replace the water pumps for you. Oh, $500,000 is a big amount. Then you show him his electricity bill and you show him that if you don't invest $500,000 now, if you invest $500,000 now, you will recover your cost within 1 year. And if you don't, down the year, you're going to be paying for the equipment 2-3 times its price. So you have to be adamant in showing that if you don't adopt sustainable practices, you are losing money. Phases of sustainable development. First, understand. We need to understand where you are. Am I an already perfect organization which has all of these sustainable practices? I went and took over the facility management of a hospital. Is it designed to the highest energy in the standard and maintained in that way? Or it's a 40-year-old building which is having very energy heavy consuming equipment? So you understand, you analyze, you evaluate ideas and initiatives, you plan what you want to do, and then you act. To implement sustainability objectives, several things to consider. Ensure commitment to sustainability project. Determine the current performance through sustainability audit. Usually, there are companies, and there are very, very, very few of those who are doing it in Qatar. They go and look at the energy efficiency in which you are utilizing. They look mainly at the energy and water because these two are very highly visible. So for them to start, the first thing they do is that they do an audit. We either call it an energy audit or a sustainability audit or whatever. What does an audit mean? Is that we go, we collect data on your equipment, how many chillers you have, how much electric load you have, and so on. We go and look at your electricity bills for as much as we can, for 3 years, let's say. So I determine your current performance. It's like when you do with your vehicle, when you go and take it to test it, to check its performance, they go and see where you are now, okay? And then after is that, you set your goals based on the 8 areas of sustainability, the 8 areas which we mentioned before, the energy, the water, the utilization of resources, perform a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, and opportunity threats, execute an action plan, assess and evaluate the performance according to plan, summarize lessons learned, and celebrate success. So this is a sort of a general guideline how to look to it. So the basic thing is that first of all, you have to understand where you are. To understand where you are and then to analyze where you are, you develop a plan, you go and implement it, and then you check, did it really do as intended? You have many suppliers coming and claiming that, oh, if you install this equipment, you will save this much in your electricity bill. So you need to check, okay, did I really save this much on the bill? Yes or no? Is there something else that I can do?
Mr. Baha.
So, yes.
Please, this SWOT analyze. Can you just explain it again with the examples?
See, this is a guideline. You don't really need to SWOT analysis. Are you familiar with the SWOT analysis? Are you familiar with the term?
Yes, little bit.
Okay, so this is one of the tools that you can utilize. So a SWOT analysis, it will be covered in another module, I think in the quality module. A SWOT analysis is a tool which you utilize to discuss the opportunities and threats. Usually it's done in a business context. So you look at strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Okay, so the strengths and weaknesses are internal aspects. Opportunities and threats are external aspects. So it's like you're doing a 360 review of your capabilities. Okay, what can you do? So you're basically, whether it's a SWOT analysis or something else, basically you are understanding more where you are. You're understanding, okay, as I mentioned, is it a new building? I'm going to a new building. What's my strength? Okay, my strength, it's a new building. The problem that I was having is sometimes you'll find it's not in the equipment. Sometimes you see that there are buildings, and I've seen it a lot here, in which there is a lot of investment in terms of equipment, but it's being operated poorly. So it's like having a very sophisticated car, and then you shut down all the systems in it and you're driving it manually. You're not utilizing any of the energy efficiencies. So this way you understand where is the gap, what's the problem, where are the opportunities. Sometimes, like some of your strengths will be that, okay, I have financial power and I have a budget for me. I have a good organization which understands the needs of this, which is well financed, which can do that. Sometimes, no, I'm working in an organization which is barely meeting its needs, and I really need to look at the smaller things which I can tackle versus the bigger things. So you can see the difference appetite in this. Like, let's say when you work with hotels or something like that, some of them will tell you, okay, go ahead, come. I'm interested in this, and they have the culture there that they want to reduce their operational cost. So this is part of your understanding of the potential that you have in that. There are financial tools for decision making. These tools will be elaborated in the separate financial module, which we will be covering, the business and finance. But to look at it now in this context, these are again tools which you can do. Simple payback period. So simple payback period is that when you go and say, okay, I'm using now this chiller. This chiller is not very much energy efficient. If you go, I go and tell my management, if you go and let's say this chiller costs 1 million riyal, and every year I pay $500,000 in its electricity bill. I go and tell my management, okay, if we pay another 2 million riyal, we're going to have a payback period due to the difference of efficiency in 2 years. So this is like my investment. What's the payback period for it? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Is it 10, 15 years? In some cases for, let's say, renewable energy, it can be in 15 years. They will say, okay, if you install solar panels, you have to put an initial investment, and then you will recover it, the investment, after 15 years. Definitely, the longer the payback period, the less attractive is it for the owner or investor. The return of investment is the ratio between the net profit and cost of investment resulting from an investment of some resource. Okay, this is a different way of measuring it. It's like I'm telling you, if you put 1 million now, after 5 years, your ROI is going to be measured at 5%. And if the 1 million that you invest now, you're going to get it compounded at 5% in terms of benefits down the line. So this is again the percentage. Net present value. Net present value is a different tool also. Net present value talks that money today is more valuable in the future. What does that mean? A 1,000 riyal now, if I give you the option to give you, let's say you want money from me. I tell you that I'll give you a 1,000 riyal today, or I'll give you a 1,000 riyal in 1 year. You will tell me now, because money now is more than valuable than next year. The question will come, I tell you, if I give you 1,000 riyal now or 1,100 in 1 year, then it will depend. Okay, if this 1,000 riyal, you're gonna put it in the bank, and by the end of next year, it's gonna give you 1,200, then you will tell me, no, I will take it now. Whereas if I put it now 1,000 and next year is gonna give you 1,050, maybe you will accept that I will pay you 1,100 next year. So this is called the net present value. To look into the details of this, the net present value, it's being detailed here. So there's a formula for the net present value. It's a simple formula actually. So the present value is the future value. By the way, there is no calculation whatsoever in the exam, okay? And this is just put here to show a concept. There is absolutely no calculation in the exam, no formulas, nothing. But you have to understand, the only thing that you have to understand is that the present value of money is equal to the future value divided by 1 plus I to the power n. To give an example of it, let me just put this and rotate text. Okay, this $14,000, okay, what's the net from 1 year? If the percentage is 10%, what is the value of it here? So the $14,000 is the future value. So the present value is the future value. So the present value equal the future value, which is $14,000 divided by 1 plus I, which is 10%, 0.1. So this equals to 14,000 divided by 1.1. Just give me a minute. You're talking about 12,727. So you see that if I'm having an interest rate of 10%, shoot, I cannot, I cannot see it. If I'm having $14,000 in 1 year and I'm having an interest rate of 10%, this $14,000 is worth only 12,727 now. So similarly, we analyzed a full project like that. So project A, I'm going and telling my company, if you invest now $42,000, let's say in the installation of a wind turbine, just theoretically, the benefit that I'm going to get per year is a positive $14,000. And I'm going to get it over 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I calculate the net present value. How? I take the 14,000, it will be 12,000 now. The 14,000 in 2 years, it will be 14,000 divided by 1.1 square. In year 3, it will be 14,000 divided by 1.1 cube, and so on. And here we got $53,000 positive. So 53, so this is the net present value. So we are measuring everything in terms of net present value. Net present value is going to be 11,071. If the net present value of a project is positive, it means it's profitable. But if I'm comparing project A and project B, and I'm having the net present value of project A is higher than the net present value of project B, it means project A is more profitable from a financial perspective than project B. Everything else equal, it means that I will have to go with project A. So this is one of the tools that can be utilized to analyze the profitability of a project or an initiatives. Another financial tool for decision making, and this is an important tool when we're doing facility management, is called the life cycle cost analysis. Life cycle cost analysis is the whole life cost, or what we call it the cradle to grave. So the life cycle cost refers to the total cost of ownership over the life of an asset. So when I'm comparing the procurement of ACA versus ACB, ACA costs 1,000 riyal. ACB costs 1,500 riyal. Shall I go for ACA because it's cheaper? No, not necessarily. Why? Because maybe when I'm looking at from a life cycle cost analysis, even when I'm buying things, I'll say, okay, maybe ACA, it will have a lifespan of only 3 years. And after 3 years, I'll have to purchase another AC. Whereas ACB, it will last me for 5 years. So I'm looking at it, how much is the total cost of ownership from cradle to grave? What's the cost? Its design, installation, operation, the energy bill of it. Maybe it will still last. ACB will start 3 years and ACA will last 3 years, but the bill that I pay for ACB is much less than the bill I pay for ACA. Then I'll go for option B. This is what we call the life cycle analysis, cost analysis. So I'm talking about the cost of even a building from point A till its death. The total cost of ownership is similar to the life cycle cost analysis, but with the difference that the life cycle cost analysis includes monetary and non-monetary costs in the final decision. Measuring and reporting, as we said earlier, an important thing to measure is to know. This applies to quality, applies to energy conservation, applies to financial reporting, and all. If you tell me that I lost 3 kilos, I will ask you based on what? You will not know if you lost 3 kilos if you didn't know that your weight was 80 kilos and now it's reduced by 3 kilos. So first is to measure. You need to establish a starting point. If you want to measure how much you are losing weight per month, yes, Sheikh. Sheikh, you had a question? You can unmute yourself, no? You can hear me?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You were mute.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to know, like in a FM industry, do we have any standard ratio between the cost of a building and the cost of operation, or like a thumb rule understanding, okay, the cost of building, say, is 30 million. So over the period of 20 years of operation, how much it could cost of building something? Do you have any such calculations in FM?
There are certain standards. We will be covering some of those in terms of energy, for example. There are some, even in Qatar, there's an energy rating system, which is done by the, what do you call it, Gulf organization of the, what do you call it, GSAS. I don't know if you've heard of GSAS certification.
Our building is certified GSAS.
Yes. So the GSAS is the local equivalent of LEEDs. It talks about the energy and water efficiency. There are 3 certifications. I think one of them is for the building design. Second is for the building construction. And third is for the building operation. But how they have came out with these norms, let's say for the building operation, they went, and I know from the team there, they went and surveyed so many buildings in Qatar, comparing, let's say, they classified them. This is a residential building, this is a hospital, this is a school, and so on. And they calculated the average of the energy consumption of each building, let's say, and water consumption. And then they rate your organization based on the average mean, okay? If you are on the lower side, then you are not energy and water efficient. If you are on the higher side, they give you higher rating, and so on. So these kind of ratings exist in countries, and they differ from one country to the other, but they are a way for organizations to measure.
Actually, sorry, I actually wanted to know, say, in terms of percentage, like which is higher as a thumb rule, like the cost of a building, just from my understanding, the cost of a building and the operation cost over the period of 20 or 25 years, that's the general building life we consider. So how much
Usually
is it,
the
like 50%?
usually the construction cost will be maximum 30%
of the overall operation cost of that building,
over
full
the whole
lifespan.
operational cost and wages. It will be covered in one of the modules.
Okay, okay, so okay, 30%.
Okay, so it's not, again, you have to be careful how you measure things, and you have to look into the details, what they are considering in this cost. Like they are considering of the building occupants, the way in it, yes or no, and things like that. But you can just, with a simple Google, you can go and search, is that the cost of building versus the construction cost. And this is what many people here are beginning to understand, many real estate developers. See, if you are developing real estate to sell it, is different than if you're developing real estate to operate it. If you're developing real estate to sell it, your goal is to sell it at a cheap price and get rid of it. Whereas if you're building your own mall and you're building your own hospital, then sustainability becomes very, very, very important. Because what you save now, or what you think you're saving now, you're going to be paying it in 10 times. It's similar if you go at home and you go a little bit cheap on the electric appliance. Why do people go for more expensive electric appliance? Because they last longer. Sometimes because also they are more energy efficient. So you reduce your electricity. Similarly applies for a building. So the construction cost can be even as low as 10 to 15% over the lifespan of the building. Operational costs are very high. So metrics, we come back again to this measuring and reporting. Metrics provide a starting point for developing a business case to gain management support. Metrics provide a benchmark and a baseline to measure and assess the effectiveness of sustainability practice. To measure is to know. You cannot tell me my building is energy efficient and you don't know how efficient it is. I'm going to ask you for proof. Measure the greenhouse gas emissions. So the greenhouse gases resulting from burning of fossil fuel for electricity, heat, and transportation causes a greenhouse effect that keeps some of the planet's heat that would otherwise escape the atmosphere out to space. You know what's the greenhouse gas effect? This is Earth. I'm sure you took it in science class, but again, this is Earth. And the burning of fossil fuels, we produce carbon dioxide mainly, okay, and carbon monoxide, but mainly carbon dioxide. So what happens is that we have the atmosphere around the Earth, and usually the sun rays come, hit Earth, and get reflected, okay. Due to these greenhouse gases, there's a layer that forms on top, and more sun rays get trapped inside. They don't escape into the environment. Sorry for my horrible drawing, but I think you get the idea. So what happens is that the temperature of the Earth increases. So that's why we are having what we call global warming. Okay. So the carbon footprint, and usually it's measured by the carbon footprint. I think most of you should have heard of the carbon footprint. The carbon footprint is a total amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere, produced directly and indirectly, support the activities of an individual, an event, a family, or an entire nation, expressed in tons of CO2. So now they rate organizations, they rate airlines, they rate specific businesses. They rate even industries, such as the cattle industry is one of the biggest contributors in the world to the CO2 due to the methane gas that's greenhouse gas, the methane gas that's produced by the manure of the cows. So this is called the carbon footprint. So, and when we talked about the direct and indirect, what does that mean? There are direct things. So Scope 1 direct. So these are the greenhouse gases. They include CO2, hydrofluorocarbons, PFCs, and so on. So all these gases, So there is direct cost. Let's say you are having a company facility and your vehicles. These are direct costs. But there are something before upstream and downstream. Upstream, you have business travel to your organization, employees coming to your office every day, leased assets, waste generated in operations, transportation and distribution, and so on. And down the line, you have also transportation and distribution. Let's say your organization produces potato chips. You need to still, your product has, it didn't, the impact of your product goes down the line till it reaches the client. So the greenhouse gases have a direct and indirect results. There are certain standards that take care of sustainability. The most common one, which we are all familiar with, it's part of the integrated management system, which includes the ISO 9001 for quality, the ISO 18000 for health and safety, and the ISO 14001 for the environmental management system. There is ISO 15000. Anyone wants to question something? Fahad, you opened your mic. Okay, so please, if you don't need to talk, don't open the mic. So sustainability in building construction. This is another standard, ISO 15192. ISO 21930, sustainability in buildings and civil engineering works. And the ISO 26000's guidance on social responsibility. So these are just like different codes that are provided by the ISO. We come now to specific tools. Okay, you guys want a break. I got a message you want a break. Okay, fine. Let's take a 5-minute break. Now it's 8:03. Let's come back here by 8:10. Let's say 7-minute break. Okay. See you at 8:10. Yeah, hello everyone. Back. So we were talking about some of the tools that can be utilized to measure and utilized for sustainability practices. Does anyone know, has anyone seen this logo before?
I remember it was coming in the startup with the PC.
Yeah, you are old enough. So this is the energy star. We're going to be looking at it. What is it? So this is again one of the tools. We will be looking into this. So energy use intensity, EUI, is expressed as energy per meter square foot per year. It's calculating by dividing the total energy consumed by the building in 1 year, measured in kilobitU or megajoules, by the total gross floor area of the building. So energy use intensity, this is the question which I think was asked to me earlier. How can you see a building efficiency? This is one of the tools to measure the building efficiency, because how energy use intensity in a year per square meter or per square foot, how much energy is being consumed by this building. Statement of energy performance is a one-page report summarizing the energy consumption of a property. So this is statement of energy performance, SEP. And this is done by Energy Star. Energy Star, this thing here which you saw, is a tool created for free. It's a free tool provided by the United States EPA. What's the EPA? Is the Environmental Protection Agency. It's a free tool which you can use to create a statement of energy performance. You look at a property, for example, here, and it provides you with a rating for that building, this total score. Okay, so you look at the building here, and you will find out, you will have the information of the building, and then you can see how much the energy use intensity. Guys, don't let me clean after you these things. So the energy use intensity, just a minute, draw line. The energy use intensity is coming, for example, 75.7 kBTU per feet square. Okay, and in it you will put all the data and you will get this, and you will get it for your property. It's a free tool which you can use to analyze the power, the energy use intensity of your building. Energy performance certificate is something that is governed by the EU directive. So this is an American tool, the statement of energy performance by Energy Star. And the energy performance certificate, EPC, is a similar thing, but it's governed by an EU directive. UK law requires an energy performance certificate whenever a property is constructed, sold, or leased. So you see how in these kind of societies, it becomes a part of everyday transaction. The countries in general have a commitment towards sustainability, and that's reflected in the higher energy bills, that's reflected in the rules and the regulations. In Europe, if you want to deploy sustainable practices, you get a lot of incentives, a lot of tax benefits. For example, a simple thing, now Tesla cars in the UK, you get free parking inside London. The municipality did it. I don't know if they were trying to encourage people, okay, buy an energy efficient car, an electric car, which is less polluting. We will provide you free parking. So there are many incentives to adopt that. Okay, whether the managed building performance through measurement, whether the building is certified or not, it's important to manage the building through measurement and assessment. a tool by the EPA Energy Star. This is the definition of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Energy Star Portfolio Manager is a no-cost interactive energy management tool that allows you to securely track and assess energy and water consumption across your building portfolio. So you can even use it for all your buildings. So if you're a real estate company which is having hundreds of buildings in across the world, you can use the EPA Star to record the data for each and every building and track their energy and water performance. Portfolio Manager can help you set investment priorities, identify underperforming buildings. You see, when you start measuring, you start comparing. You start, okay, for example, my offices in Doha are way more efficient than my offices in Saudi Arabia. Per square meter, I'm utilizing this much energy in Doha, whereas I'm utilizing double that amount in Saudi Arabia, and so on. Sustainability Balance Scorecard, another tool is that the Balance Scorecard. The Balance Scorecard is a tool which is utilized by organizations to measure other than financial aspects of a business. What does that mean? Usually, companies are measured by financial performance. Financial performance alone shows that it's not the only way to measure a company. You don't secure sustainability by measuring. Ammar, you had a question?
Yes, please. I was just want to ask you, here in Qatar, are we using this kind of certification and tools?
Yes, all the buildings in Lusail are supposed to have a GSAS certification.
Okay. Who issues usually here in Qatar? Ashghal, Kahrama, Lusail, Qatar DR?
GORD.
Again?
GORD, G-O-R-D.
G-O-R-D.
Yes.
So this is like a third party here.
Yeah, it's the lead equivalent. So they are like, you've heard of lead, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the Qatar is the local equivalent of lead, GORD, and they are increasingly, if you've been here long enough, you've seen like now ACs or vehicles are coming, energy is becoming an important thing. You see on the side sticker of new cars, rating of the vehicle, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Similarly, on ACs, you see different stickers which is managing this. Different countries have different ways. The Europeans have their own measurement tool. Now Qatar is developing their own management tool using the GORD. Saudi Arabia have their own rating system. That's why when you go and purchase ACs now, when you pass in Carrefour, you will find that all the ACs, all the washing machines, I think, will have a star rating system for you to know how energy efficient it is. Even the GORD recently, several months back, they've installed one lab, and now they will require all the equipment. They're gradually building it up. So they are doing it for buildings, and they are going to do it for equipment as well.
Okay. I think here in Qatar we have authority for the standardization, a governmental authority, right?
Yeah, but it's a different one, this one.
It's different. Okay.
Okay, so the Qatar Standards Institute, I think it's called like this, Qatar Standardization. They're the ones who make the Qatar Construction Code, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, so each country, they're trying to localize.
QCS.
Yeah, Qatar Construction Standards, yes. So countries try to customize it based on their needs and the way they measure and the priorities that they are having. They are starting it now, and it's getting more traction. And that's why you are having now Tarshid, for example, in Kahrama. They're trying to reduce the electricity and water consumption, and it's a need. Why it's a need? You know, although we don't have table water in Qatar, we don't have storage of water. All the water that we utilize in Qatar is desalinated water. Desalinated water, desalination is very high energy intensive process, costs money, costs environmental damage. Qatar is very highly polluting per capita due to the presence of the oil and gas facilities, and so they are trying to really work on all of this in accordance with international accords and commitments. So they are improving a lot on that. So we continue again. I was talking about the sustainability balance scorecard. I was saying that financial tools, this will be covered in detail in the business unit, and how to measure organizations. So in a nutshell, we are saying that the sustainability can be added as a goal or as a tool for you to measure your performance as a company. How much sustainable I am. It's like you're adding another layer for your measurement, which includes the sustainability. There are 4 areas for sustainability, not 4 areas, focus areas for sustainability. So sustainability in FM operations, we told that there are 8 areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 areas are divided into input, process, and output. Input in terms of consumption, how much energy I'm consuming, how much water I'm consuming, how much materials and resources I am consuming. Process is how I do things, how I was managing my workplace, how is the indoor environment quality measured. Am I, for example, setting the temperature at 18 degrees Celsius, then definitely these items will change, the inputs will change. Am I putting it at 25 or so on? And the quality of service, what are the services that I'm providing there? The output is the waste and site impact. So the waste is the waste that we are producing, whether it's water waste, whether it's noise. The site impact is how much I'm affecting the environment around me. Am I causing light pollution? Am I causing heat pollution? Am I causing, what disruptances? Am I causing noise pollution? And so on. So energy, we're looking into them one by one. Energy. Some of the strategies to lessen the facility energy usage include improving the building, adding insulation, inspection, solar gain, or improving the core systems. So again, energy and water are one of the most highly prominent things which you can do immediate savings. Of course, if you start in the process in the beginning, that's why this rating system that they have in GORD or they have in other systems starts with the design. Qatar Green Business Council, yes, the Qatar Green Business Council, I don't know where they meet, frankly, yes, but GORD is separate. GORD is separate. It's Gulf Organization for Research and Development or something like that. They were trying to create not something that applies not only to Qatar, but to the whole Gulf. That's why they called it the GORD, not Qatar, whatever. I think the Qatar Green Business Council started on it. I don't want to give theories. I don't know. But I know that the main thing is through GORD and through the GSAS certification, not the Qatar Green Business Council. So,
thank you.
So energy use optimization. So definitely it starts with the design. If you utilize, but definitely that costs more. If you use good insulating material, your energy bills will be cheaper. Yes, GORD is supported by Qatar Foundation and SC, the Supreme Committee. They have their offices in what you call it, Qatar National Convention Center, the QNCC there. And they have very nice facilities on the backside, laboratory there. Energy use optimization, commissioning, continuous. So there are some other tools. So you can improve the building from adding insulation, regular inspection to see if there is leakage or so on, improving the core systems, improving the HVAC, the lighting, the electrical, In a typical building, the most energy consumption comes from the HVAC. It's 40% to 60% of the energy consumption. Then comes the lighting, then comes other things, electrical, depending on the building type. You can optimize the energy use in terms of commissioning. Commissioning is not only testing the building, the equipment. Commissioning means that making sure that the equipment is operating as per the intended design. What does that mean? It means that if I'm installing a pump, which is supposed to provide me this water head at this energy consumption, if I do commissioning and I find it, no, at this energy consumption, it's not giving me this water head, it means that I need to do some adjustment to this pump. So that's why the commissioning is the process of verifying that systems are working to their design intent. That's why an important concept in energy optimization is called continuous commissioning. Continuous commissioning, it means that not only once, what happens is that usually is that when you're handing over the building, you check the system, everything perfect and good. You'd hand over the building. The biggest challenge happens in operation, because if a building is efficient at its handover, and if down the line you don't maintain properly, you don't check your systems properly, what guarantees that you are still operating at normal efficiency? So we have something called continuous commissioning, and it means that we are continuously checking the performance of our equipment based on the intended design. And this continuous commissioning has been made much easier now using the smart equipment. Now those of you who operate in facilities can see new train chillers or York or wherever, you are having continuous live charts, and they show you how much your energy is operating. They're linked directly to your building management systems. You get the graphical, historical data. You get immediate data on your efficiency. You don't need to go and check it separately. You're getting this data from it on an instantaneous basis. Building automation system is very important. So what's a building automation system? A BMS. So building automation and control system, or a building automation system, or a building management system is very important, because it controls. What does a building management system do is that it controls the utilization of your HVAC and other systems based on your occupancy needs. Energy site audits, we mentioned this before, that we go and do an energy audit. Retro commissioning, energy performance contracting. And this is a concept not very much common here. Energy performance contracting, this is like a company will come to you. There are some companies that do that. I've worked on some of it. Someone will come to you and tell you, okay, show me your electricity bill. You are paying 3 million riyal per year for electricity bill. Okay, what I will do is that I will take this from you. I will come and invest in certain energy optimization equipment, okay? And let's say I will replace your lights, I will put the new pumps and whatever, and I will do the investment myself, or will do it 50-50, but in exchange of that, any improvement on the next 3 years on the bill of the 3 million riyal, I will take it. So in that sense, for example, I am so confident of myself, I do my calculation, I know that your building is very inefficient, and this 3 million, I can make it 2. So if I sign an energy performance contract with you, you will not say no, because what will happen is that, in a theoretical thing, like I will, for the next 3 years, I will be taking this extra million saved. You are already paying 3 per year, but after that, the building owner will get to keep the benefits. Decreasing the plug-in load. Again, a simple thing is to refuse or to reduce the energy consumption. How you can do that? By purchasing energy efficient appliances. Sometimes the equipment themselves. That's why, you know, when you go for a life cycle cost analysis, it's not only about buying the cheaper chiller or the cheaper AC. You can be buying a cheaper AC, yes, but you end up paying it in monthly invoices to the electricity and water company. And you cannot believe how many people fall for that trap. Yani. If you're having short-sighted, okay, you saved a few thousand riyals here, but you're ending up paying it 2-3 times more down the line. Avoiding standby power loss. Use of on-site renewable sources of energy. There are many ways to do that in terms of energy. We all know the famous solar power panels. Solar power panels are becoming much more efficient than they were. The growth is very good. They are becoming much more reliable than they were before. Still, they are not 100%, but they are there. Yani, we are almost reaching there. Maybe it'll take us some more years. 15, 20 years ago, they were not as efficient as they are now. Many companies are working on several technologies to try to improve the efficiency of solar panels. And generating power is there. Another thing to utilize is called biomass. What's biomass? Usually this is utilized in what we call in farming communities and agricultural economies. The crop that you get from harvesting will have, let's say you have a cornfield. The stem and the things of the corn, they are supposed to be disposed. So what you do is that you take this organic material and you subject it to an anaerobic digestion, and as a consequence you will ferment it sort of, and you will get methane. Methane is natural gas. You can burn it, and you can burn it and generate electricity, and or you can generate electricity, or you can utilize it to heat and drying of wood chips plus sales of biomass for boiler. So this is again a tool which is utilized in farming communities. It's used in the States or in Europe because they have lots of material. How you can reduce standby power? Disconnect the items. At home, if you have plugged appliances, they tell you just disconnect it, remove the plug, because even if you keep the plug there, there'll be some kind of what we call it this energy sleepage. So this is the way to cut the standby power. If it's not there, remove it, from plug it or disconnect it totally. Use of on-site renewable sources, geothermal energy. Geothermal energy can be on a very large scale or can be on a smaller scale. On a very large scale, there are countries such as Indonesia, which are on top of a volcanic area. And what they do is that the idea is that you go and drill a hole into the ground and you reach a level where there is steam. So you're getting geothermal energy. Steam, you take it, you run turbines with it. You generate electricity for free. It's a renewable energy source. On a smaller scale, you can still use it, and it's utilized in some places in Europe. Geothermal cooling. What it does is that usually in summer, the earth is colder than it is on the surface. In the winter, the opposite happens. The earth is warmer than on the surface. So what you do is that you will take a pump and you will circulate water, and you circulate it in. If it's in the summer, you are getting it hot water out, cold water in. If it's in the winter, you're getting cold water into the ground and hot water out. Another utilization is the micro wind turbines. Have you seen those on Qatar Foundation and Qatar Foundation? Yes, Qatar Education City. These are micro wind turbines. They are put there for, I don't know how effective they are. I don't think they are running. But again, this is one of the technologies that's utilized so that you can generate micro power on the side. So these things have been evolving, and they are the future. Yes, some of them are still not at the level of being very efficient, but some of them are becoming efficient. I've seen, like, again, these micro hydro turbines. I've seen them like in certain areas, remote areas. They are very efficient. So these are like small hydro turbines. And let's say you are having next to a river. So it's a micro turbine. It's a smaller turbine which generates electricity from running water. So with a simple installation, you can generate water. Monitor management and energy use. There is something called load shedding and load shifting. What does load shedding mean? Load shedding means you shave the load. So this is load shedding. Okay, you shave the load. You say above certain level, I cut the power. Okay. You simply cut the load. Load shifting is that you take the load and utilize it in different times. Say you're running a factory, and rather than you utilizing certain megawatts per day, you shift, you make a night shift, and you sort of flatten the curve. You take the items here and you put them there. And a load shifting, the overall consumption stays the same. In a load shedding, the overall consumption is reduced. Demand response contract. What's a demand response contract? It's an agreement between the facility and the power producers to find ways to reduce consumption during peak hours in exchange for monetary incentives. So a demand response contract. So in other places of the world, I don't see it here. So there is like you are having a factory, and then the government will come and tell you, look, you are consuming this much megawatts per hour, and we have a deal for you, and you are utilizing it during the day. If you shift your load to the night, I'm going to give you electricity at half the rate. So this is called a demand response contract. It's an agreement to find ways consumption during peak hours in exchange for monetary incentives. So the power company is trying to shift the load to match their needs. Because what happens in power consumption, even on the scale of a country, it's not consistent. The power utilized during the day is different from the power utilized during the night, different from the peak or off-peak hours. In Qatar, fortunately, we have enough resources that we don't feel it, but in other countries with limited resources, it will have a huge impact on them, and they try to manage around it. Carbon trading scheme. In countries where they are measuring the carbon emissions, they regulate, okay, you are a company which is doing this kind of service, you have this much allocation of carbon footprint. So that's why there was opened a separate market for carbon trading. What does that mean? Company A has an allowance of this much carbon to produce. Company B has the same allowance. They both operate in the same field. Company A goes and invests in energy efficient equipment, okay, and they're able to reduce their carbon footprint by 30%. So this 30%, rather than, okay, now I'm not utilizing, they can go and sell it to company B. So company B doesn't want to invest, okay, and they are having an additional energy needs, so they can go to company A and buy from them their carbon allocation. And there are like markets for it in Europe and in the States for carbon trading, okay? So you can buy excess carbon units from another company. Renewable energy certificates, okay? The renewable energy credits, they are known as green tags, renewable energy credits, renewable electricity certificates, or tradable renewable certificates are tradable, non-tangible energy commodities in the States that represent proof that 1 megawatt hour of electricity was generated from an eligible renewable energy source. What does that mean? So part of the environmental requirements sometimes will be is that you will be having, you will get incentives. So if you are a company which is producing this much 1 megawatt hour of electricity from renewable, you get this renewable energy certificate. So again, rather than you investing in this, proving to the government that you are producing this, some people are making it their business. They go and build solar farms, they sell electricity back to the grid, okay, and they utilize this to give to other companies who buy it from them. Water, how to reduce water consumption. We see it now with Tarshid and what they try to advertise. Aerators, high efficiency faucet aerators. What's the aerator? It's that attachment. Most of the faucets now anyhow come with aerators, and they can reduce faucet usage by up to 50% or more. High efficiency shower heads. So again, now if those of you who work with sanitary ware or who are aware of this, the consumption has become part of the sanitary ware requirements by consultants. And you will, for example, previously the toilet used to come with a standard flush bowl, and the flush bowl was around 6 liters, which has like even, you know, like as much as 11 liters, you know. So this was changed later on, and now you are having even toilets which use this half a tank for you to press or a full tank. So there are many ways for you to reduce things. Replacement of leaking. Leaking can go represent 5 to 10% of total building water usage. You can see how much large it is. So it's important to monitor leaks. The toilet again is a very huge thing. Even I've seen one program in the UK. What they were doing is that governmental bodies were distributing inflatable, what you call it, sort of like a balloon, in which you used to put in the toilet flush bowl, okay, to reduce the volume of it. So you put it somewhere inside, you close it, and automatically, especially for the older ones, which were like 6 liters, you really don't need that much. So it will take the place of 1.5 liter. And that with continued use over the life cycle of the toilet, you will be saving a lot of water. So monitoring, evaluation, and savings. Again, when you monitor, you measure, you know. Some facilities, what they do is that they install separate water meters for different toilets, let's say in airports or whatever. You can install separate water meters. That of course requires an additional investment, but you know, you'll be able to monitor closely to see if there is any anomaly between this toilet and this area and this whatever. Save on water, save on energy, especially in Qatar, because even the water is not regularly in other countries. Whenever you're saving on water, you're saving on energy, because water needs to be transported, water needs to be pumped, water needs to be treated and cleaned, and this is energy intensive. In Qatar, it's more because, as I said, 100% of our water in the country is coming from desalination, and desalination is a very high energy intensive process. That's why you find that there are power and desalination plants all over the country. Regarding the energy consumption or the water consumption, there are different types which countries or service providers utilize, whether it's for water or electricity. You have something that here in Qatar, so you can design your tariff system to dictate a certain kind of consumer behavior. A flat tariff, okay, a flat tariff is a tariff which is flat. You're using it day, night, you're using high energy consumption, low energy consumption, I'm gonna charge you a flat rate. That you're not directing any behavior. Inclining block is that the first part of electricity or water is cheaper than all usage after it. In Qatar, they use an inclining block for residential. So let's say if you're having a villa in Qatar, up to a certain level of consumption, they charge you a certain rate, which they believe is their average rate. Above that, if you start, then you can start seeing the bill becoming very expensive. Okay, so this is what we call the inclining block. The declining block is a different way. So the declining block is on the contrary. The first part of electricity is more, or water is more costlier than the rest. Usually this can be utilized for industrial facilities. So, okay, if you're having a certain need, I'm telling you, okay, fine, you will pay the space, but if you need more, you'll get it at a lower rate. Excuse me, I have to go for 1 minute and I'll come back. Give me 5 minutes, please. Yeah, I apologize, everyone. I had an issue. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So I was talking about the different pricing tools which energy providers and water providers utilize. We have the inclining block, the declining block. Another tool which we can use is the time-based pricing. So normally energy will be heavy utilization during the day, in which countries, factories, and offices are operating. What I can do to encourage people to shift their behavior, I can give a reduced price, let's say, after midnight. So this is like where the rate for electricity changes at different times of the day. Capacity or demand change. Again, this is like the incentive which you are linking to the demand, and you go and you tell the industry, if you shift your demand, I will give you a certain incentive. Load control, a cheaper rate is charged to allow networks to turn off appliances in your home at certain times, like off-peak hot water. Those of you who come from countries which are having power problems are aware of these things. Many countries, they used to shift the consumer behavior. They will even they will do things on the TV and advertisements trying to shift the daily home shift of operations. They'll tell you, for example, wash your clothes at night or something like that. Some of the goals of sustainability are as follows. So we talked about energy, we talked about water. Now we're talking about the third thing in terms of the input, which is material and resources. So we talked about using less material, reduced, using material from recycled or sustainable sources. So if I have to use material, let me try to use material from recycled or sustainable sources. So rather than utilizing material, so you can see it in terms of wood, in terms of water, they will go and tell you that this is made from recycled paper, or this is made from repurposed wood. They will compress it. Purchase materials in a sustainable manner. The most famous, let's say, paper manufacturers will, if you go and read the labels in details, they will say that this is done in a properly harvested forest. And they will tell you that this paper is made from trees who are controlled in a sustainable manner. And they are planting the trees in a sustainable manner. They're not going to the woods and tearing down the rainforest, for example. Avoid or prevent the use of hazardous or polluting material that will affect the health of the building tenants or occupants. An example for that, asbestos. Asbestos was used a lot in buildings. It was a good insulator, but then they found out that asbestos is carcinogenic, and it took the world several decades to try to remove it as a construction material. Maybe some world countries are still utilizing it. I don't know. It's a highly carcinogenic material. Sustainable procurement. Procurement is sustainable if it's meeting the needs of material goods and services in an environmentally friendly. So we talked about sustainability includes environment friendly, responsible, and ethical way. So ethics come into place also, how much you are supporting the local economy. You find it like many companies promote that we are buying this produced by the local community. So this is again part of sustainability. Sustainability means continuity. It means that we are not only doing it just for the sake of profitability, we're doing it to carry the people around us. Some companies will utilize material, say that this is manufactured by veterans or by prisoners or so on. So these are again tools for sustainability. Benefits of green procurement: savings, positive relationships, improved employee health, environmental and climate protection benefits, promoting of the local economy. We see the same things are repeated again and again of the benefits of adopting sustainable practices. The barriers to this, as I mentioned initially, the number one barrier is the lower cost. This is like what China paid the price for. So China, during their initial growth of development, they really didn't pay much attention to they wanted to grow. They wanted, economic growth was number one. They allowed their companies to utilize not really the best energy efficient. They wanted to sell. So they didn't care about the environment. What happened now is that they woke up to it. And after major Chinese cities such as Beijing are not humanly livable. The quality of the air inside Beijing is toxic. So that's why they wear masks all the time. Now, but the government they have the resources, they understood that. And now a very big business in China is environmental control of factories, because it simply has become unlivable. So the lower cost is a barrier. Leadership, some leaders of businesses don't understand the importance of this and don't believe in this, and then they will totally dismiss it. I've seen it even here. They'll say, why? I had to convince some clients who were like, they have big properties which they were going to develop, and they wanted to convince the owner why he should invest in a building management system. So in this time and age, having someone who is coming to, why shall he invest in a building management system? They don't understand the benefits that come out of that. If you don't install a building management system, it's not only the operations will not be effective, you're going to be paying much more higher energy bills. Your building is not going to be as effective. Again, not improving supply chains. Sometimes the supply chain in the country, you really don't have access to the material, and this is a problem. Sometimes the design, for example, you have a LEED building or a gold building which is having a golden design, but then you go to the supply chain, you try to buy it in the local market, you will find that there is no support for it. The material is not available. So again, this will be a barrier. And the priorities, what are the priorities of the organization? If I'm a struggling company, it will not be maybe my top of the list. Workplace management. So we talked about the inputs, now we're talking about the processes. The workplace management, the goal of workplace management is to avoid or minimize the churn. Churn is a recurring concept that we're gonna be hearing about in facility management. Churn is the rate of internal move. Churn, so the churn rate is how much times we change offices and we move from one place to the other. So they cost a lot of money to the organization and distraction to employees. Our goal when we are designing facilities or when we are selecting facilities is that we need to understand what's the intention of the business strategically. Is it a growing business? Is it a shrinking business? That we understand, okay, rather than shifting from one office to the other office to the other office, I select an office which is going to meet the long-term needs of the organizations. Avoid or minimize the impact of the environment by efficient utilization of resources and less generation of waste. Drives virtual or a workplace that's not located in any one physical space. Makes the tenants and employees satisfied by promoting collaboration, allocate an adequate and quality workplace, and free of disturbances. So the way we manage the workplace affects on the sustainability and the energy consumption. Another concept that's being promoted a lot now, and IFMA was talking about it long before, but now it has become a fact, which is what we call hoteling or telecommuting. It means that work is what you do, not where you do it. In the sense is that, as I said, even before the COVID, like companies in Canada, for example, at least you used to people who are working 5 days in a week were working the 4th day at home. Why? There are several benefits for the organization from that. From a sustainability perspective, the organization needs to rent less office space because they can rotate the people so that not everyone needs to be there in the office and the place at the same time. They need less space, less electricity bill, less water bill, less environmental costs from the commuting people to and from the work, and so on. So many associated things get reduced. Plus now the advancement of technology has made it possible. Now we are doing this course totally online. 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't have been that optimal. Maybe even 10 years, it would have been 5, or I don't know, depending on where you are in the world, would have been optimal. So this is workplace management, and we can see how much the workplace can have an impact on the sustainability of your organization. Flexible use of workplace, apart from efficient space utilization and avoidance of unnecessary office expansion, the power of flexible workspace is to increase collaboration, which will result in a greater employee productivity. Virtual workplace is a workplace that's not in one physical space. This is what we call about it. I talked about hoteling and telecommuting. Telecommuting, it means like working from home or whatever. Hoteling means is that I don't necessarily have a permanent place in the office. I don't need to have a designated, think of an organization which is having people who are on the sites. I don't need to keep in my office rooms for each and every manager I have. I can have hoteling. What hoteling means is that a unit, desks which are free for whoever comes, we can book them and utilize them. So this is again a modern way of dealing with the space and space management. So usually organizations, there's a global trend of moving towards smaller spaces, spaces where people can work from home more. And we've seen it, and the COVID-19 really pushed heavily in that direction. We found out that many jobs can be done from home and with little or even better improvement on efficiency. Another thing is the indoor environmental quality. This is an extract which I took from the health and productivity benefits of LEED certified buildings. So this is like a net present value analysis of the operational cost and the productivity. So not only the operational cost gets reduced, the productivity of people, because when you're talking about indoor environmental quality, you are considering the quality of air, you're considering the comfort of the temperature, you are considering even how much sunlight you get exposed to. And these things, the air that you breathe, the sunlight that you're exposed to, affect your productivity. So this research shows that you're having a better memory function, mental function, better call processing, shorter hospital stays, more productive workers, more productive students, increase in retail sales due to the better environment and the comfort of the shoppers that they are having. For example, a very simple example on how there is a total science in marketing called consumer behavior. And big organization has made it a science out of that. So that's why, for example, when you enter a Carrefour, you will find out that the lighting is always very bright, 24/7. And you'll find out the Carrefour doesn't have windows for sunlight. Why? Because they want you to lose the concept of time. They want the light because they've done their research, and with higher lighting, with a more comfortable, you're likely to spend more time at the store. When you spend more time at the store, you're gonna spend more, and so on. So we can see how the indoor environment quality has a huge impact on our behavior. The air quality is part of the environment quality. As I said previously, is that the air inside is more polluted than outside, typically 2 to 5 times more polluted. 90% of our lives are spent indoors. Maybe in Qatar, hoteling means hot desks. Yes, Najita, this is what it means. Hot desk is part of hoteling. It can be hot desk, hot offices, and so on. The indoor environment quality, common indoor pollutants. There are many pollutants indoor. Airborne particles from diesel exhaust, dust, smoke, and other resources. Indoor formaldehyde. So the furniture which you utilize, the chemicals which you use to clean, the lack of proper circulation, the air that we breathe from the people, all contribute to the bad air quality. That's why it's very important to have proper ventilation, and that starts from the design of the HVAC system, and it goes to the operation of the HVAC system and to the monitoring of it as well. These are different things which can generate a bad smoke, poor circulation, toiletries, mold. Mold is a very bad influence of indoor environment quality and air quality. It can create serious health problems. Cooking, the fumes from cooking, candles and electronics, and so on. So there are many things that can affect occupant comfort. They include the thermal comfort. The number one complaint of occupants of buildings globally is thermal comfort. This is the number one complaint. This is by research, and people complain that either it's too hot or too cold, too drafty, too windy. This is the number one complaint. Visual comfort, again, the visual comfort is important. Visual comfort, how relaxing it is, how the lights are, how crowded the place is. So that's why you go into a hotel, you see how it's all designed to make you feel relaxed. It's filled with, even when you enter, fresh flowers are put there. The colors are vibrant. Even the design of the hotel itself, you will have a huge lobby. All of this is for visual comfort. Acoustical comfort is the, what do you hear, how much sound is coming in. All of these 4 factors contribute to the occupant comfort. Control of hazardous material. A hazardous material is any item or agent which has the potential harm to humans, animals, or the environment, either by itself or through interaction with other factors. There are different ways to handle with hazardous materials. The best is to eliminate, physically remove the hazard. I don't need it. Substitute it. So rather than I'm utilizing, let's say, a hard chemical to clean the floor, I utilize something that's environmentally friendly. Engineering controls, you isolate the work from the hazards. Administrative controls change the way the work is performed, and change the cycle of operations. And the less effective one is that you keep everything as it is. It's inevitable, but to protect the people, you let them wear personal protective equipment. Quality of services. Sustainable services are offerings that satisfy customer needs and significantly improve the social and environmental performance. So this can happen in terms of the sustainable MER services, sustainable meeting services. So in the way services that you are offering, whether they are mail services, meeting services, you can adopt sustainable practices to handle them. One of those nice topics to mention is for the landscaping, sustainable landscaping is through xeriscaping. Xeriscaping. What's xeriscaping? Is that designing from day one, designing the landscape to utilize less water. You can maintain a beautiful garden which requires less water. And if you can observe, I think one of the areas which they have utilized this is the airport, the new airport. If you look at the landscape of the Hamad International Airport, you can see a different type of plants there. And mostly they are like desert-based plants. They are beautiful, but they are likely to utilize less water as compared to, let's say, the flowers which they plant on the corniche. You see how much unsustainable they are. Very beautiful, the ones which they plant on the corniche, but you find that they need a lot of water, they need a lot of changing because the plants die quickly. So xeriscaping is the concept of utilizing plants and design from day one to secure that sustainable operations of this. We talked about the input. We talked about the input was the energy, the water, and the material and resource. We talked about the process, and now we're talking about the output. The output, we have waste. Waste collection is a part of waste management. It's the transfer of solid waste from the point of use to the disposal to the point of treatment of landfill. Methods of solid waste disposal and management. Composting. There are different ways to handle waste. They go from the environmentally conscious one to the very unenvironmentally friendly ones. Up and burning is a horrific way to get rid of waste. You are throwing carcinogens, you are throwing fumes into the environment. Composting is a very good way, but it doesn't apply to anything. Composting is that when you bury items which are biodegradable, you can compost natural materials such as wood, such as food waste, you can compost it. Dumping into the sea, again, is not very much sustainable. Fermentation or biological digestion, and this is what we covered regarding the biomass. You go and ferment it, but again, it depends on what waste you are dealing with. Incineration means burning, and it's typically utilized in certain things which cannot be disposed properly. For example, medical waste, you cannot recycle it. It is not good for you to recycle it. You have to incinerate it. Okay, you have to burn it at a certain degree to remove all the chemical pathogens. Salvaging, it means that restoring it, maybe you can utilize it in something else. A common way for disposal is the sanitary landfills. Sanitary landfills is where you segregate the material, you compact it, and you bury it underground in a proper way in which you have taken care of the water collection and you have designed the system. So this is a very common way of handling it. Many countries utilize sanitary landfills. After they have segregated the material, seen what can be composted will be composted, and what can be recycled will be recycled, and then the rest goes into sanitary landfills. Construction and demolition waste management. Wastage that's resulting from construction and demolition include concrete, wood, gypsum, glass, plastic, metal blocks, etc. This chart I took from a typical site of, not a typical site, it's from a site of Suez, GDF Suez. This is a French company. They are famous, and how they handle this, which is like for indicative purposes, that they take it, they crush it, they collect it, they separate it, they crush it, they use metal separation, and steel can be utilized somewhere else. And then they do screening. Some of the items can be used as processed engineered fuel, wooden products, some items can be added there, and shredding for light metal, and so on. So this is a proper way of handling construction waste. Here, even in Qatar, construction waste has to be handled. There are certain areas which you can put it. And some years back, they've opened, I think, the Misaid waste treatment plant. It was not there before. Steps in establishing facility recycling program. As we said, recycling is one of the tools that you can utilize. Obtain commitment from management, organize a green team, identify types and sources of waste, assess current waste collection contracts, develop a plan, educate staff and customers. A proper recycling scheme starts from the source. They call like separate at the source. That's why many recycling programs which countries try to utilize fail, because unless the people are educated at the source from where the garbage is sourcing, whether it's from homes. That's why you find it in Europe and in the States very common, because everyone is educated to it, and they go even in the house, they separate the trash. They put the plastic in one area, the glass in one area, and the biomaterial in other area. So it takes a lot of, here they've tried to implement it, so far not very much success. Monitor and refine the plan, measure performance, promote success and expand the plan. Recycling isn't always a good thing. I mentioned one now, like biohazard material, you cannot recycle it. Radioactive material, you cannot recycle it because it will still carry it. Disposal of different materials require different procedures. I mentioned previously regarding the disposal of oils, disposal of batteries. There are special companies which handle that. Chemicals, again, and hazardous materials are supposed to be disposed in a different manner. Even I think here the way they dispose with the chemicals is something similar to this. You're supposed to put it in a drum, you tag it, you flag it, and then you accumulate the waste, and then you request someone specialized to pick it up. Not everyone is authorized to dispose this. There are specialized companies here, not many, who can handle dangerous waste, radioactive waste, and which can handle the oils and chemicals or the batteries. There is a separate business in terms of electronics recycling. Site impact. One of the goals to reduce or avoid site impact is the use of, so site impact as part of our sustainability is that we're trying to reduce the impact that we have as a built facility on the environment around us. Okay. To reduce that, there are many ways. Like, let's say we cut the noise pollution, we cut the more sustainable of a building we are. Let's say if we are a self-sustaining building in which it is utilizing the water which we produce, we are recycling it and we are using it in some other things, we are reducing the site impact because we are not, let's say, putting the water into the drainage. We are reducing that. If we are a building which is conscious to the environment around it, we don't try to create light pollution, in which we call light trespass. Light trespass is that when the light goes from our side into the outside and trespass on others. One of the goals is, one of principle which is used is called biomimicry. What's biomimicry? The best designer in the world is nature. This is the best designer in the world. And this is, those of you who are engineers, there's a separate division of engineering which tries to look into that. Biomimicry is the set of utilizing design, okay, that are modeled on biological entities and processes. Okay, this is what we call biomimicry. For example, the fastest train in the world, which is the bullet train, the Japanese one is shaped something like this drawing, which is very poorly done, but that shape of that train, the bullet train, the head of it is shaped on the beak of a bird, which goes and plunges into the water. They found it as the most aerodynamic design that can be done. So this is the concept of biomimicry. When you are designing and using nature as your, how do we call it, as your muse or as your inspiration, this is called biomimicry. Stormwater management, the way we generate and produce, handle the water is important. There is the water which we utilize, okay, there is what we call black water or gray water. Black water is the wastewater from toilets, dishwashers, kitchen sinks, and utility sinks. Black water usually is disposed of or taken into treatment, and you cannot utilize again. Gray water requires less treatment for you to utilize it again. Gray water is water that's coming from the shower, not from the toilet itself, from the bathtub, from the clothes washer and bathroom sinks. So these two concepts you should be familiar with, the black water and the gray water. Rainwater, again, there are several buildings which utilize the collection of rainwater and storage to use it for sustainable practice. You can use it for irrigation, okay? Air conditioning condensate is again water which is produced by the facility and which you can collect it because it's relatively a clean water which you can use somewhere else. Foundation drainage, nuisance groundwater from dewatering operations can also be utilized in other areas. Light pollution. Light pollution, we are talking about the site impact and the impact. Light pollution is excessive and inappropriate artificial light. Light pollution is an issue due to the adverse effects, including sky glow, glare, light trespass, light clutter, decreased visibility at night, disturbance to nocturnal species, and energy waste. You cannot enjoy seeing the stars in Doha because of light pollution. If you go a little bit to the north or a little bit to the south, because there is no light pollution, you will be able to see the stars. This is just one example. Another example is that the nocturnal species like bats, owls, and things like that, there are many insects and animals that live around us who operate at night. So in cities, these insects and this wildlife cannot adapt, okay? So this is why there is a negative impact on light pollution. It changes the whole ecological balance. Strategies to avoid light pollution: install LED or low pressure sodium bulbs, direct light to where it's needed, purchase lights with bulbs, caps, and shields, install motion detector lights, You see it even on very large scales. Some countries have it on their highways. Let's say a very long highway in which there is few traffic on it. You will see that a car will be passing and the light will be following the car, in the sense that the street lighting is not always on. So that way you are reducing the energy consumption, you are reducing the damage to the environment around us. Turn off lights in rooms that are not in use, a simple principle. Pull down the blinds. Install smart lights which can be controlled and programmed through a smart device. We are finding this concept more and more now. And as I said, there are now lighting controls to the building management system, and the required level of lumens is directed by the system itself. If someone is in the building or not in the building, it will put them down on the lights based on that need. And that way, definitely, you are reducing the light usage and the light pollution. Heat island effect, similar what I told you regarding when you go to Musaid or you go to Al Khor, for example, you will be able to see the sky. Again, another thing that you can notice is that when you go to these suburban areas, you will find that it is cold, colder than it is in Doha. Why? Because there is something which is called the heat island effect. So built up areas that are hotter than nearby rural areas. So the built up areas, when you are having a built up area, a city, for example, there are many factors that contribute to having a higher temperature. You can see how the temperature increases. This includes the restricted airflow coming also from, when you're having a city, you will having many equipment which is generating heat, like chillers and whatever. And so it's what you call this urban heat island. That's what it's called. So heat islands can affect communities by increasing summertime peak energy demand, air conditioning cost, air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, heat-related illnesses and mortality and water quality. So this is what's called the urban heat island effect. Finally, managing the impact of travel. As I said initially, travel is a very carbon producing element. Business travel can represent more than 50% of an organization's greenhouse gas emissions. So if you reduce, especially for companies such as business consultants don't have factories, don't have big units, have offices, but they utilize lots and lots of traveling, and this can have a huge impact on the energy consumption or the greenhouse gases produced by that company. That was it in terms of material for today. In terms of questions, let us see what we can solve through this together. A sustainability policy provides guidance on sustainable FM practices so that the present and future decisions of an organization can be made for the good of the company, the community, and the environment.
Alpha.
Yeah.
Clear. Why is it important to identify the key stakeholders? Not only in an organization or a project or anything. Why do you identify stakeholders?
Delta, they are the link to the community.
Not necessary.
The sustainability policy.
No, not necessarily. See, the question, look at the question. It didn't mention anything regarding sustainability. Nothing. Why it is important that you identify your stakeholders? Well, who are your stakeholders? As a facility, who are your stakeholders? Your stakeholders are the visitors to the building. Let's say you're a mall. Your stakeholders are the visitors to the mall. They are the owners of the mall. They are the facility management company. They are the community nearby. They are the police because they are involved in it, and so on. Okay. If you look at these things, do you think they are the link to the community? Not necessary. A building owner is not your link to your community. They can develop the business case, not necessarily. Let's say a building owner is not the one who's supposed to develop the business case. They provide the link.
Sustainable policy.
No.
No, not necessary. Like if I'm a building owner, how am I providing you this? Stakeholders, you need to identify them because they can act as a contributor or potential barrier. You always need to take care of your stakeholder. We will see this. This is a very important concept which is covered in project management. You identify and manage your stakeholders because your stakeholders can influence the decision. Okay. Which of the following tasks should occur during the first phase of sustainability plan development? During the first phase.
D.
Bravo. You cannot develop cash flow before you understand what you're trying to do. I will eliminate this.
Delta D.
Yes. Because we said that first you understand, then you analyze, right? So when you understand and analyze, you are seeing how will I evaluate and rate the ideas. Energy Star Portfolio Manager allows facility managers to this should be straightforward.
C. C.
Okay, let's go through them. It allows you to automate the core building.
No.
No, it doesn't allow you to automate. Energy Star is a tool which you collect data based on your energy consumption and based on which you get a certain rating. Okay? It doesn't test different energy savings. It is C. Collect and analyze data. Okay, and then once you have the data, you can use it to automate or to test or perform such an audit. Electricity demand is
Yeah.
It's C.
the rate at which, and then so there is a peak demand and a low demand. So it's not only the volume, it's the rate at which you are using it. How much kilowatts per hour? What's a renewable energy certificate?
Document that facility has purchased the environment value of
100%. So
Right.
this is per definition. It's a document that you have produced a certain amount of energy from renewable resources. Which of the following would probably be perceived as a productive floor plan? Meeting rooms, services, and amenities are located on a single floor to increase equitable access.
C.
C.
Meeting room and amenities are located at the building core.
You are cheating, Ghulam, or you're getting...
I don't have anything.
No, I'm joking. Yes, this is the right answer. Why? I will go through them one by one. See, when you're talking about meeting rooms are located on a single floor, that's not real efficiency. Can you imagine a building in which, let's say, a building of QP and the meeting rooms are only on one floor? Would that be efficient? No. Corner window spaces are allocated to management offices for greater visibility. Again, this is not like a productive work plan because it's related to management. It's not about status. Amenities are located in one corner of each floor to create fewer distractions. That's not there. The most one is the C. Which of the following is not a resource recovery technique?
D. Incineration.
Yes, incineration, you are burning it. Pyrolysis is a chemical process which is you are using to disintegrate items into things. So it's a resource recovery technique. Incineration, you are destroying the resource and you are not utilizing it. So that was it for today. Thank you
very much. Good evening.
I will see you on
Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right. الو عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. تفضل معك. أهلا وسهلا.